Welcome, welcome. Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. And we're excited to have all of you. Today, we'll be having a discussion with two very, very well learned people in this topic of tourism sustainability and hospitality services. As of today, you'll be meeting first Professor Dr. Jennifer Chan from the University of Sabah in Malaysia. And secondly, you'll be meeting Ms. Tenku, which is a hotel manager in Australia. And she has a lot of experience in the hotel industry, as well as the name of the hotel is the Inn Yard, if I'm not mistaken. And from this point, we would like to thank everyone again for joining us. And with no further ado, I'm going to bring in first Professor Dr. Jennifer Chan to give us a presentation on tourism sustainability. And we hope you all learned something from this. Please, if you're here, leave a comment, leave a like, ask us a question, and enjoy. Thank you, guys. Hello, Dr. Chan.
Thank you very much.
You can start sharing your screen and begin your presentation.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the organizer, Asia Pacific University of Technology and Innovation, for the invitation. And I'm very happy, honored to be here to share with you sustainable practices in hospitality and tourism industry. Right now, moving forward, before I start talking about the sustainable practices, I like to I'd like to bring you back to our current status, which is the impact of COVID-19. This COVID-19 have generated a new phenomenon for business, environment, and economy. And it also shows that tourism industry and business itself is not sustainable with this presence of the COVID-19. On top of that, today we are talking about sustainability, right? Whether you are in a hotel or tourism or any kind of business, right? Sustainability is very much within us now. And this sustainability needs to link to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I hope every one of you are familiar with the 17 Sustainable Development Goal. But I will share with you further later on how we can actually embed this 17 Sustainable Development Goal in the hospitality and tourism industry. Yeah. Can you see my slides?
Hello? Not yet, Miss Chan. Can you? No, not yet.
I'm
sorry. Have you gotten to the share button? And,
yes, I did. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, I'm going to add it to the stream now.
Okay. So.
Yes. Thank you, Miss.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this session to discuss on the sustainable practices in hospitality and tourism industry. Before I go in depth, I would like to share with you a little bit of the current situation where tourism and hospitality are very much impacted by the COVID-19. And this COVID-19 actually have created a new phenomenon for the tourism and hospitality business environment and economy. That shows also the level of sustainability of tourism business in worldwide. Yeah. And another thing is that we often talk about sustainability in across all kinds of business landscape. However, to what extent we actually link these sustainable practices to these 17 Sustainable Development Goals developed by the United Nations. Yeah. Let's look into a detail of the how the COVID-19 impact on tourism and hospitality business. We are trying to recover the business through a wide range of standard of operating procedure, developing resilience and recovery strategy, right? And one of the things that we need to look at is the link back to the sustainable practices, where we often talk about the economy, the social, the environmental. These are the three sustainability pillars within the tourism and hospitality. However, we also need to look at which 17 sustainable development goals are actually relevant and practical to the sustainable practices in the context of tourism and hospitality. Furthermore, there is a need of close collaboration and partnership within the tourism stakeholders as well as the public and private sector. This is very much lacking. Unless we can cover on these three aspects, then we can move on to the sustainable practices which focus on resources. So I think in the Malaysia context, we talk about conservation, preservation of our nature resources. But one thing we forgot also, responsible production and consumption. Yeah. And very much lacking with regards to conservation and preservation are the guidelines, the standard of operating procedure, framework, policy, and what is worse is the types of indicator and monitoring system is very much limited, and virtually I can say that we talk about conservation, but we forgot about to what extent we actually achieved. Yeah. Next, I like to show that the sustainability and the sustainable development concept must, in terms of practice, must link back to the 17 sustainable development goal. So quickly, I would like to show you these are the 17 sustainable development goal. If you look at carefully from goal number 1 to 17, there is a mixture of economy, people, society, and our resources, right? In this chart, in this slides, I'm trying to show you that at the bottom, right, bottom level, we talk about biosphere, which consists of natural resources, where the Sustainable Development Goals 6, 13, 14, 15 are actually very important to support the sustainable development of the nature resources. As you move forward in the middle, I consider as a society and people. This is where the society need to look into, especially the responsible consumption behavior. That's why today we say reduce our waste, right? Whether food, whether energy, resources. Then moving forward upward, we will see the business. This is where our products, services, and experiences are actually derived based on our bottom level, which is the biospace, based on our nature resources. So in between, the people, the society play a very important part in terms of sustainable practices in the context of tourism and hospitality. So I like you to think about looking at this 17 sustainable development goal as a student or as a consumer or as a tourist. Which are the goals that you think is very important in the context of hospitality and tourism? Yeah, I don't have much time to discuss here. So moving forward, let's look at a sustainable tourism development. When we talk about sustainable tourism development goal at this moment, we are very much focused on the three pillars. Sustainability pillar, which is economy, that means the profit. Business must be able to make profit. Local community must benefit the economy benefit. Then we talk about environmental protection, right? And finally, the social cultural aspect. And these three is actually interrelated. Yeah, very strong. If the local community does not benefit the economy in the community-based tourism, or the environment is not well taken care of, that means we cannot attract a lot of tourists coming in. So the social well-being will not benefit in that particular community. Then there is a need of close collaboration and partnership. That means whether government and private sector should work together to achieve at the community level various stakeholders must work together. For example, the local community and the travel agent and the hotel and the airline in terms of looking into the sustainability practices. What is more problematic currently is within our economy is the overconsumption and overproduction that generated the unsustainability issue. So what happened to this overconsumption and production from the business and economy standpoint? We regard this is a mega problem. And currently, the models, the theories that we use, right, is no longer relevant because based on this overconsumption and overproduction, we generated high level of pollution, degradations, and very much our natural resources were depleted, and this will subsequently cause the climate change. And it is very evident now, right? In terms of temperature. So now let's look at how can we move forward, right? Using the sustainability pillar is not sufficient. We have to add in innovation. That's why today we talk about creativity and innovation with the new models. The impact from the COVID have created a new business model, new business practices, new policy is needed. So within our society now, hotel is suffering a shortage of worker now because of the COVID. A lot of staff are being retrenched. Then the way we serve food is very different now, right? The way because of the social distancing. So all those will actually impact the way we operate business in a new normal, right? Now, so how can we improve the sustainability practices? First of all, we have to understand what are our nature capital. We need to have a new business model. We need to have enablers to achieve that. And sustainability, it means what are our capability? Do we have enough resources? Do we have the standard? Do we have the new management process? And what are our risk factor, right? Then following that, we need to look at, okay, we have a lot, we need to invest in a new model, but what are the implications? What are the impacts from this investment? And of course, we still need to go back to the conservation and preservation. However, we need a holistic policy and framework. Yeah. Moving forward, I like to share with you, this is how the sustainable tourism. When you talk about tourism, the three major players, the first one will be the government. Government needs to put in place the relevant policies, work together with the stakeholders to come up with the relevant sustainable practices, because nature tourism, right? If you look at there is a interrelationship between government and the economy. So the economy is pretty much detected by the private sector, the travel agent, all those tourism stakeholders, which they need to have a proper policy and laws or SOP work together with the government. Then we have the society. That is where the local community can be the tourism stakeholder as well as the resident of the host, right? So these three parties have to work closely and be partnered to each other, come up with the best practices in the sustainable manner to safeguard our nature resources, to ensure our economy continue to grow. Yeah. And I'd like to introduce to you within the context of this hospitality and tourism, we need a new business and management model, operational techniques, and the new, the nature of the work has changed. So therefore, the quality of the labor become an issue. What is more important here, I like to focus, is the circular economy. Now, often we talk about green economy, right? But if we are going to strengthen our sustainability practices, we need to understand that circular economy is very important because it introduces innovative and creative approaches to reduce our waste, right? And therefore, it will come up with a new green product for us to use in the hospitality and tourism. Secondly, the nature of the work. We all have to aware that the way we work in this new phenomena will be different. For example, we have this hybrid system of work, right? Then the labor attitude have to change. We have to accept, and then the employees need to be instilled with the new skills, knowledge, and attitude. So upskilling, reskilling is very important to meet the needs of the sustainability of the hospitality and tourism. Yeah. So quickly, a very short note on circular economy. So circular economy is very important as it practices reduce, reuse, and refurbishing of the resources. So it's a form of regenerative our economy system, right? A model of production and consumption that give us some kind of sharing, leasing, reuse, repair, or refurbish. That means we don't continue to create new product, but what we do is we recycle and our resources. So in that sense, right, today we don't try to use plastic, but we have a plastic straw, but we replace with paper, recycle paper straw, right? So in that sense, it protects the environment, right? Use of natural resources wisely and help us to develop new sector, and it create new jobs and driving innovation and creativity in our economy within the what we call, we have this wise use of natural resources. Okay, so this is just to give you a glance that how circular economy business model versus sustainability pillar, right? So in short, circular economy give us a more efficient, productive, economical and financial viability, recovery, recycling, eco-friendly product, which is very much needed in tourism and hospitality. And of course, all this will support the sustainability pillar, which is environmental, economy, and social, right? So in short, circular or sharing economy, that is because of this circular economy, we have this sharing economy. For example, today we have Airbnb, we have this what we call Grabs, or this innovation model, right? So what I want to show you is that the circular economy based on this chart is actually very much linked to our 17 Sustainable Development Goal. Circular economy talk a lot on the production, reuse, consumption, and production. And all this will translate and cascade to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. A simple example I would like to share with you with regards to rural destination sustainability. So if you are talking about rural tourism destination, how it can be sustainable. So three things, we go back to the pillar. The first one, social cultural. We must make sure the local people, the local community benefit. The resources they are the guardians of the resources, and resources must be protected, conserved, and preserved. Then the economy aspect, the local community must be able to receive income, right? Employment, create jobs, and the local community must have some kind of economic development, so their well-being will be enhanced. And of course, in the rural destination setting, environmental is the key. So natural resources are very crucial to create authentic, unique experiences. I'd like to share with you a little bit on an example on ecotourism, right? Ecotourism we often consider as a product as well as the experiences. And these product and experiences are often associated with the environmental, nature, culture, and social. So moving forward to ensure sustainable development of ecotourism, we need not only conservation strategy, we need to have the effective tools of sustainable development. Yeah. So that kind of tools will include so-called the innovative and creativity approach. Yeah. Then how do we manage ecotourism? Right. people always say we go to ecotourism destination, we take pictures, but it's more beyond this. Ecotourism is the key that actually motivated the tourists to come back. So in this case, I like to use example in the case of Lower Kinabatangan, where we can translate ecotourism into this diagram. It shows that ecotourism can be a form of education, learning. So tourists come here, learn wildlife, local culture. It is also a form of escape. So ecotourism destination definitely give you a unique experiences, a place where you escape from town, from big city. Yeah, and aesthetic is the environment. So Borneo rainforest scenery, sense of peacefulness. These are people looking for a forest view, riverboat cruise view, and finally, entertainment. So a form of entertainment can come from watching wildlife along the riverboat cruise, cultural performance. Yeah. So, and this is how we will manage ecotourism in a sustainable manner. So make sure the ecotourism experiences are actually very educative. The destination is something that is so unique. It gives you a very different environment, and at the same time, you really enjoy the local cultural performance. Yeah. So next, I'd like to share with you a little bit on Asia National Tourism Organization. This Asian 7 tourism standard actually was developed by the Asian country to move towards sustainable practices. So there are 7 standards. To some extent, Sabah, in the Sabah context, we try to adopt this kind of standard so that whatever tourism or hospitality practices will move towards a more sustainable manner. So the first one is the green hotel. So here, green hotel, it cover on environmental friendly material use and design. Second, local food and beverage, focusing on traditional and typical food, the local cuisine, local food. And third, public toilet, which is must be well connected to the waste pipe and flushing. Number 4 is the homestay, furnished, offer in a location, unique location. Number 5 is the ecotourism, responsible tourism to the ecological diversity. And 6, tourism heritage. So this is one of the sustainability that Asia tourism country is very much looking into to ensure that the physical, biological, geological form of building are being protected, excuse me, and can be sustained, retained for a long time. Yeah. So a green hotel Asia standard, what are they? So actually green hotel standard is very much on environmental friendly practices, energy conservation, reduce the negative impact, use of solar energy, buy recycled product, eat local grown vegetables. And for your information, in Malaysia, there are 3 hotels has been accredited as a green hotel practices under the Asia standard, which is a Palace Hotel Kota Kinabalu, Nexus Resort and Spa Karabunai, Riverside Majestic Hotel in Sarawak. Yeah. And sustainable practices in this case is it try to create green environment, green purchase policy, provide a glass cup instead of plastic cup, reduce waste. Yeah. So this is a photo that I like to show you within the Asia Green Hotel Standard. So you will see the environment is very much green. Hotels, lodge are built within the forest, so not much tree being cut. Yeah. Then food, local food, traditional, buy local products, sell in. You can actually sell in the food store, local restaurant, or tamu. Yeah. And this is another a picture about public restroom, right? Clean, functional, and dry. This is one of the problem that Malaysia's toilet. If you check whether KK Airport or KL Airport. KK Airport is one of the worst, always very, very wet. It's not dry, and sometimes it's not functioning. Yeah. Um, Tourist heritage, right? So we talk about cultural heritage. Um, in terms of the outstanding physical biological formation, we need it will, if we don't conserve properly, um, it will gone, right? So Asia, within Asia country, we have a lot of these nature heritage need to be preserved, protected, and managed in a sustainable manner. So oftentimes, if you visit these places, they have a SOP, they have telling you cannot take photograph, and you have to, carrying capacity as well. Right? So Asia Clean City Standard, this is another one. Because the city itself has become a tourist attraction, right? So they have come out also the standard and the indicator, what they use. There are 7: environmental management, cleanliness, waste management, awareness of the protection, green space, health safety, tourism infrastructure and facility. So if any of the city want to be accredited under the Asia Clean Tourist City Standard, you must fulfill all these 7 standard, yeah, criteria. Then mines, yeah, Asian Mines Venue Standard also came up with. So this try to showcase the commitment to responsible, sustainable, a way of balancing the development of the venue, right? So one of the things that if you are fall under this category, you try to attract high spender tourists before and after the MICE activity. You must have the package, stay in the longer stay, right? And because MICE visitor contribute a significant growth of tourism. Yeah. So scope of Asian MICE standard, it has 3 category. So meeting and conference venue or room, second exhibition venue, and third event venue. So you can fall under the hotel, under the, for example, MICE center or exhibition center. So the criteria they follow look at will be physical setting, the technology you use, and the type of services. Again, there are 5 hotel has been recognized, accredited under Asian MICE Venue Standard Asian. First, Nexus, Pullman Hotel, Bukit Gamba Resort, Sunway Putra Hotel, Shangri-La Rasaria Resort. Yeah. And just a little bit information when we talk about sustainable practices, it has also embedded under the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture in the strategic framework for recovery plan. So one of it is talking about sustainable development and growth for the tourism, drive competitiveness, align our tourism with sustainability and inclusivity, reinforce with long-term resilient and crisis preparedness. All these actually indicate that our tourism, the previous tourism practices is not sustainable. So now we have to move towards the align with the sustainable practices. So what are some of the sustainable practices that came across currently practices among the tourism and hospitality? Saving water, energy, replace land, biodiversity conservation, reuse, recycle of waste, green campaign. Waste management is very much important in the context of hotel, green innovation practices. We talk so much about all these practices, but at the moment, I'm not sure to what extent that how much internal training on environmental issue with the employees by the organization. That is one of the issue we need to understand. So the way forward is that for the management and operation level, at the macro level, we, the government, the institution need a relevant policy in place with a framework, SOP, monitoring, and indicator. At the organization level, which is meso level, the tourism organization needs to come up with new business model, a more innovative and creative way of serving operations level. At the micro level, we are looking at the employees or consumers' attitude and commitment towards sustainable practices. All these employee consumer need relevant skills, knowledge, practices, change the attitude towards more responsible staff or consumer, right? And finally, because this is a new area, a lot of research has been done and also publications on the sustainable tourism and practices. So as a students or academic staff, if you are interested, you should continue to go through all these readings and perhaps encourage to look into the research, related. I'd like to share with you, this is one of the conceptual framework that I proposed in one of my paper talking about sustainable tourism city destination. So I use the 3 pillar. The first one is the economy dimension, where the city itself, with regards to tourism business suppliers, it should generate a lot of incomes and employments, within that city. Then second, environmental dimension. Within that city, it must have a nice green space, all kind of attraction. And this is where the tourism destination management need to be accountable, responsible for in terms of planning, design, and provide relevant infrastructure. That's why in KL, we call it a greater KL, right? A world-class city. In Kota Kinabalu also, we also being recognized as a world-class city. So a lot of relevant environment has been undertaken into this consideration. And finally, the social cultural dimension. That means within that city, the tourists and the community, especially their well-being, the quality of life. You do not want to have a tourist city that is so congested, just like in London, in New York. So those cities are not sustainable. Yeah? Finally, I'd like to share a book with you, which we have published. It's called Lower Kinabatangan Premium Competitive Sustainable Ecotourism Destination. In this publication, we did the research. We find out that how the way moving forwards in managing ecotourism in a sustainable manner. Yeah. With that, thank you very much for your listening. I hope I've shared some wider perspective on sustainable practices in tourism and hospitality. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Professor Chan. That was such a detailed explanation. And thank you so much for your insights on the green practices in tourism, in the tourism industry. You have so much knowledge in this field, and it was such a privilege to sit and listen to you. Also, we'll be shouting out your book as well, the book that you created, and we'd love other people to read it. Thank you so much for your insight. Now we will welcome our second speaker, Ms. Tenku Itan Nazira. She's the hotel manager in the Roberts Towns in Queensland. And without further ado, please put your hands together. Let's welcome Ms. Tenku. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the comment box. Drop us a like, help us out. Thank you. Now let me find Ms. Tenku. Hello, Ms. Tenku. We're really excited.
Hi, everybody.
And the floor is yours, Miss.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tenku Nazira. I have a very long name, but you can call me Tin. I'm the current hotel manager in the Robertstown, Queensland. And I will show you basically the whole overall presentation today is going to talk about the whole experience that I had since 2010. And let's talk about the green practices that hotel properties, especially the whole hotels that I've worked with. So we start with the first hotel that I started, which is when I was very young, at 2010, which is the Golden Horses Palace of the Golden Horses. Um, at the mines. So they used the local change 5-star hotel back in 2010. I after I finished my study in France, I actually was my first job as a management trainee, and then I was promoted as assistant guest service manager in the Palace of the Golden Horses. All right, so that was my first job when I was very young. So what Palace of the Golden Horses did when they were back in those days, yeah, I'm not sure right now, but back in those days they were already done all the sustainability practices. Okay, so what are the first thing that they have done last time back in those days was Tan Sri Lim Yu, which is the previous owner for in the Palace of the Horses. He loved all these sustainability practices, so he said that he wants organic. So he first did was he created this organic garden. So this organic garden is actually grown by all these chefs. So all these vegetables that they have in so they have a very small section near to the swimming pool area. They make it like an organic garden, and they actually make like a so all these vegetable is very organic grown, and they use that on a Friday for us to have our meal. So we become vegetarian every Friday. So they start with that. Not only that, so as you may aware, Palace of the Horses is one of the biggest hotel for conference. So we have a lot of banquet that time, banquet, function, weddings, huge. Minimum, at least they can actually fit for 2,000 people. So you imagine 2,000 people equals to 2,000 packs of food. So yes, in terms of like, so what happened was there's a lot of wastage and a lot of that kind of things happening in Palace. So what the vision of the owner that time, which is essentially Kim Yu. So what he did was some of the extra food they used to give to the fish in the so at the mines. You see, there's the picture there. There's a in Malay they call it lombong. So they gave that to the fish. So that's the so in certain time what the owner did. So they feed all the fish in that area. So some of the instead of throwing all the food out, so they actually feed the fish. They did a lot of recycle, of course, during that time, and of course, in the 5-star hotel, so they have this key card where you put the key card, and then if you took out the key card, the lights will be off. So that's what most 5-star hotels or most hotels actually doing in order for them to save the cost of the electricity. All right. So moving on of Palace of the Golden Horses, we go to the next slide. So Hilton. Okay, so this is still in Malaysia before I go to Australia style. Okay, so Hilton Petaling Jaya is, of course, I was a duty manager in Hilton afterwards, back in 2013. So when I was in Hilton is, well, the worldwide hotels. So they have been practicing sustainability for a long time. So they are one of the best one. So so of course they use a lot of biodegradable products, and they also have a lot of like they have this. So how they educate team members regards about sustainability. So they have this called the 365 Hilton worldwide. All Hilton around the world can actually talk about what do they do for the community. Not only community, what do they do among each other? Like, let's say today we are doing Earth Hour, so they will share around the world. So what do they do? How do they save water? They will share this among team members. So team members will have the access on the 365. They also have this called the Hilton Worldwide University, where we will learn. We have the access on study regards about everything around Hilton. So of course they are brand standard. Everything is already standardized. So from US, and so Hilton PJ, we are basically a business hotel. So they are not like Palace. They were Palace is more to leisure, a function hotel, where Hilton is more to business oriented hotel. So when we talk about business oriented hotels, they are basically have a like breakfast, lunch, dinner, executive lounge. So they have, of course, a lot of food for their guests, because there are 457 rooms, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember, around 450 plus rooms. So they also have a lot of food wastage every single day, because they have a lot of buffet, right? So what they do is, some of the food that can last longer, so they donate charity every day without fail. So what they do is, some of the food that can last longer, like all these dessert, delicacies, kueh mueh, what they did was, they put it at the security department every single day without fail. The charity people will come and pick it up and give it to the homeless people. So that's what they do in order to help the community. And of course, other than, they're very into the Earth Hour. So every time Earth Hour, and then they have this thing on the bed. They put like a small piece of paper to save on especially on clean the room, especially to change the bed sheets. So they would do a bed sheet change every 3 days. Of course, they do all the occupied room cleaning, everything every single day. But instead of washing the bed sheets, they ask the guests if they okay that they don't need to change the bed sheet, because instead of cleaning the bed sheet will take time in terms of water usage and everything. So guess what they do? So that's how they educate the guests. So we, as a hotelier, we need to know how to educate our guests in order to them to follow how we want to help the environment, and how we want to be sustainable in terms of saving the earth. So Hilton very good on that. So they have this small note. So what guests do is that they will tell, okay, I wanted to do the sustainability, don't need to do my bed sheets, it's okay. So and then they want to help. So when the guests saw that small 10 card, they want to contribute to this and they want. So that's why we, as during that time when I was Hilton, we always try to educate our guests so that they can help each other. Okay, other than that, what else? Of course, all the lamp and everything, we actually more on focusing on ensuring the lights. Also, of course, they recycle everything basically. So we use recycled paper. Recycle key card holder. So you know the key card holder, we write all the room numbers. So key card holder that are still good, we still use it again to give to the next guest. So it's actually to make sure that we we don't throw it away. So we reuse it again. A lot of other things that they have done as well. Basically on to help the society, especially on buying the chemicals. So we have in Hilton, they have specific items, chemical that they buy in order that it doesn't cause harm to the environment. So they bought specific chemicals so to clean the floors, to clean the glass and everything. So which is very good. Which is not only that, hotel. So Palace also been doing that. My hotel currently been doing it. I think most hotel is doing that too. Okay, so next, let's talk about the other hotels. All right. Just to let you know, before I go to Adina, I was in 57 hotels. So I just want to share a little bit about 57 hotels before I say before I talk about Adina hotels. But 57 hotels is just I was a part-time there when I first came into Australia, because my husband was studying, so I was doing my part-time. I have a limited hours of work that time, so I only could work 20 hours. So I was doing the front desk job for some time during that time as a part-time. So when I first moved there, so 57 hotel is actually very it's a boutique hotel. I can say 4-star boutique hotels in Sydney. So they call the in Surrey Hills. So they are basically Australian owned hotels. So these Australian owned 2 hotels. One is called 57 Hotel, one called the 28 Hotel. So he owned this property and he run the show with his own team. So what are the fascinating thing about 57 Hotel was they are very into helping the community. Why I say helping the community was this is what they do. Okay, because they are small hotels, so they're like 98 rooms around that. So what they do was, because they don't have a kitchen, they don't have a place for food restaurant and everything. So what they do is they help these small businesses surrounding there, and they created like a room service style. So surrounding Surrey Hills in that area, 57 Hotel, a lot of small restaurants. So what they do is they ask this breakfast venue, let's say this one particular restaurant, to provide all these breakfast, like croissant, all this chocolate bread. They ask this company to make to send every single day this food for their guests. So what happened in 57 hotel? They did like a grab and go. So they don't have breakfast, but they call the word grab and go. So you can access the drinks, which is all the coffee machine, everything for free, 24 hours. We water bottles 24 hours. They have this grab and go from 6:30 to 10:30 a.m. every day. So it's just a small breakfast food, not breakfast, small bread that they can take it and grab and go to work. So they did that. They didn't say full breakfast, but they say the word grab and go. So they give business to surrounding community to actually help them, help the rest of the community around that. Okay, since that you have restaurant, right? So they have this room service. So room service, they have this iPad in a room where the guests can order food in the iPad and will go through our system, and we're gonna order from the surrounding restaurant to send it to us, and we will send it to the room. So that's what they do. They help the other restaurants to for their business as well, and at the same time give more benefits or more things to the hotel guests. Because so that's very innovative that what 57 have done. They also focus on biodegradable products, which is and then I really every single season they will actually follow, and they are into focusing on sustainability, which is I'm very very happy about it. And then okay, now so let's talk about Adina Hotels. So Adina Hotels, I was a night manager and duty manager here. So when I was working in Adina Hotels in Sydney, okay, just to let you know, when I was in Adina, I can say we were a quarantine hotel for 18 months. So it was a very crazy time. During that time, we wouldn't have, I think most of the people during that time lose their job. And I believe everybody knows that. Everybody knows during the time that we are, when we have COVID, it affected every single people, especially, and a lot of it have it impacted, like they lose their job and everything. I was very lucky. I was still here. I was here, but at the same time, I still remain my job and everything. It was considered as I have to sign a contract that it's stated that I should work less hours on, but because of we were quarantine hotel, the government actually helped all these businesses to continue their businesses. So how they do that is that they give businesses as a quarantine hotel. So we become the first line people. So during that time, it was one of the hardest time, but I was considered quite lucky because of and during the quarantine hotels, as I think you understand the word quarantine, it has to be very strict, especially on the health safety of the staff and also the guests who came from overseas and stayed in our hotel. Is very very strict rules. So I've been working with NSW New South Wales, which is New South Wales Police, and also working with the security team throughout the 18 months. Is one of the best experience I had, I can say, and I wouldn't forget that. Actually, I wouldn't want it to be again, but again, it's one of the best I can say. So that time everything's new, we have to create everything new. So the hotel changed to clean touch. So what clean touch means is that we have to make sure the distance between our guests, we have to make sure that it's paperless, we have to make sure that when the guests use the pen need to be in the box, we have to sanitize the pen, throw up the pen, we have to wear an N95. A very detailed procedure that being created in just in a split second. Because when we become quarantine, we never become with the hotel. Most of the hotels, they don't have that experience. Everything wasn't in the book, so it has to be created there and then to have this operate to operate the hotel. Okay, I can say it was one of the challenges time during that time, because we have to reshuffle our way of doing job that time, and then we change to and then we have to go through the whole process of ensuring our guest is safe, we safe, and also the community safe. Yeah, so and then Adina is, of course, they are one of the biggest, they are under TFE. So TFE is one of the biggest also hotels companies in Australia, one of the biggest. Okay, so what they have done basically, of course, they in the certain time when during the COVID time we lose a lot of staff. So when we lose a lot of staff, we don't have staff to clean the room. So in order to, so then certain days that we need to clean, and then certain days when we don't want to recruit staff, it's not easy to get, especially room attendant, very hard to get. So what Adina did was, they have this certain time, they educate the team, the guests, to tell that, okay, we're going to do a safe earth, safe water, so we're not going to clean the room. So they put there, we're not going to clean the room, only guests upon request. So they did that in certain time every single week. So that's how they do, in order to also help the issue with the staff manning, at the same time help about the water usage, and also to reduce the water usage and everything. So that's what Adina did before. So I'm not sure if you're aware, in Australia we are very strict on WHS. WHS is called the World Health and Safety. Very strict. So they have to make sure the safety of the guests, the safety of the staff, the safety of the company. So we have to follow a strict line of WHS. So example, how we handle the chemicals, and of course the education on what should we do, what should we wear, everything is being given. And everything be written down, and the team member need to sign and say, okay, I understand that. It's also to avoid, let's say, when we example, when you use certain type of chemical that is very toxic, it could harm yourself, and also can burn, or you when you inhale not good, it will be like a toxic for your body. So that's why World Health and Safety comes into place. So it's very strict on that part, which is very good for us to make sure that we are safe. A little bit story on that is that before during that period of time, my husband was a chef before. So what he did was, he accidentally smelled the chemical is toxic. When he cleaned the grill, he's actually accidentally inhaled the chemical when the grill was on heat, and he got sick because of that. He got lung infection for some time. So it was crazy, but because of WHF safety, so the insurance covered everything in terms of he's hospitalized during that time. So it's very important for us to educate our team members on how to handle all these chemicals, especially those chemicals that could harm yourself. So that's why most hotels right now try to find something that is biodegradable, the chemicals that is actually safe for the environment. So most hotels are basically doing that right now. Okay, moving on. Other than Dinam, so let's go to my current hotels. Okay, so I'm currently the hotel manager for the Robert Sound, Queensland. So it's I just moved here, to be honest, 12 July 2022. Just I think it's my 11 days or something like that. So I moved here, and it's one of the challenges that I took to make sure to manage the whole property. So just a little bit heads up about this property. It's like around 48 rooms, and we are basically in the middle of the town. We call it the Townsville. So this hotel is actually so I've been employed by a company called the Vision Hotels. So the Vision Hotel, what they do is they have like approximately now 12 hotels, and all these 12 hotels will be for hotel managers that are taking care of their properties. So that's what we do. So so what are the things that currently the Robertstown doing is the thing is very fascinating was we need to make sure the project that we're doing right now is to check all our shower head to have this 9-liter flow restrictor to make sure that they have that. So every single room, so we're gonna check to make sure that the 9-liter flow restrictor is still there. So over time, because the hotel is quite old, over time a lot of people took out because they want to get the whole water. To shower with the very fast water, right? But how Robertstown did was they want to make sure that restrict so they can less the usage of the water. So that's what we do currently, which is fascinating. Other than that, something that you guys probably wouldn't expect is that Robertstown doesn't clean occupied room. Okay, so those people who stay for quite long time and every day stay for 2 to 3 nights, we're not cleaning any occupied room. This is very bizarre for me because I never had that before. With all the hotels I've been working with, we clean occupied room every single day unless they follow the green clean. They don't want us to clean it, ask us to clean in 3 days time. But this is the first hotel I work with that they're not cleaning any occupied room. Well, so there's a pro and cons on that part, of course. So they can save a lot of water, save manning, because I think you guys are aware that it's expensive to pay people here, because in Australia they pay weekly or fortnight per hour basis. So in regardless you're part-time, casual, but if you're part-time or full-time, there is a specific rate that you have to follow the Fair Work price of Australia. So every single price will follow this amount, minimum wages. And also the casual normally is very expensive, so around $28 per hour for just a room attendant. So you imagine the salary is very damn expensive here. So in order to do that, that's why they do the idea that they are not cleaning any occupied rooms. So we focus only on departures. So that is one of the things that I was very fascinating about this hotel. And most probably in future, if the hotel is we're planning for refurbishment, and there's a lot of things that we're going to do. And of course, one of the things that we're going to do is to change the whole key, because just to let you know, this is old hotels, so they use a key instead of all the other hotels I work with. They use a key card where we can put it and then the electricity will go off when you took it out, right? But here is no, they use a key. Still very long, very old style, because it's very old style. But all this is in a plan, which is good. And I'm gonna manage all this plan to make sure that we are on the zone. And then we have a big project basically currently, is especially in the usage of electricity and water reviews. As you may aware, in Australia all the tap water is drinkable. The cold water, not the hot one. The cold water is drinkable, but it's not in Malaysia. It's unsafe to drink, right? But if in Australia, it's safe to drink. So we also are looking into to make sure that all our rooms no leaking, so that we reduce the number of water, and then of course to look into the electrical part, especially on the electricity. So that's my main target right now on this hotel. Okay, I think I should have, and then just to let you know, excuse me. So we also focus on reduce, reuse, recycles, and educate our guests and team members. Okay, that's all. Sorry.
Wow. Again, thank you so much, Ms. Tenku, for sharing your experience in the hotel industry and some of the creative green practices you've mentioned to us. I love most your explanations of the experiences that gave you your knowledge in this field, such as the hectic adaptations to the COVID-19 pandemic and the somewhat small overlooked implementations that hotels do to become more sustainable. Amazing, honestly. We really appreciate you sharing with us here. And so now for our next session, I will invite Professor Chan to the stream. And we will be doing just a simple question and answer from some of our listeners who posed us some questions. And we'll begin with Professor Chan. Someone is asking, since looking at a lot of people have started to travel since the border opened, do you think that the tourism destination such as Sabah is ready to deal with mass tourism? And if so, how did they come to this point?
Okay. Thank you very much, Stefan, for that question. This is a very interesting one. Well, if you look at the current context of COVID-19, we do not know when it's going to end, right? And I don't think at this moment Sabah is ready for mass tourism. First thing, there is a limited of airline coming to Sabah. Currently, only limited Korean Air fly in, and AirAsia and Malaysia Airline. We Fireflies fly in from Penang to Sabah, but the capacity is quite uncertain. So a lot of airlines are still doing promotional pricing, right? So it shows that the flow of the tourists is not stabilized yet, all right? In Sabah, if you are talking about domestic, you are talking about mass tourism, is actually coming from domestic travelers. In fact, if you are talking about mass tourism from overseas, in Sabah's context, we are not ready yet. A lot of hotels are still partially operating, not full capacity. Secondly, a lot of the tour bus, right, because of the COVID, many of the tour agency or tour operator has sold off their vehicle. So you will see a lot of hiccups, up and downs. So looking at the current situation, mass tourism is not feasible yet, and is also in terms of consumer behavior, they tend to travel in a smaller groups. I just want to share with you, I was in Vietnam on the 13th until 20th. They don't have a lot of foreign tourists, but to my surprise, their domestic tourism was so successful because of the 3 months school holidays. Parents start traveling. That is called mass tourism to them, depending. However, they don't have so much problem in terms of labor shortage in the tourism or hotel, because most of them already, I think almost 95% already have the booster. So they are not afraid of traveling. Yeah, I hope that answered. Thank you.
That was a great answer, Miss, and we're very happy for whoever sent in this question. I really hope that this gave you an insight as to Sabah, and if you're looking to go to Sabah, then your answers are here. So now we're going to move to a question for Miss Tenku. Now, there's been one of our viewers who asked, given your experience in hotel lines, in your opinion, which hotel group that you have worked in or that you know of is leaning in sustainable practice? And to what measure did this sustainable practice come into play? As in, what example of sustainable practice do you think is leading in one of these hotel groups?
Okay. Well, thank you for the question. So basically, to be honest, based on the leading sustainability development practices is Hilton, I can say, based on all the hotels I work with. Hilton is actually very good in terms of the way they educate the people, especially in 360s, the way they educate team members, guests, basically on how they're going to make sure the sustainability of what they do is remarkable, you know. So example, you know, like the bar soap of the guests, the bar soap. So they collect all these extra bar soap and they combine it together to make a new bar soap. So and then they give it to the community, they give it to the homeless people. So that's what they do. So and they share among all the Hilton around the world. So what they have done. So yeah, it's fascinating actually about Hilton because of other than all these donating on food, donating on reduce the wastage of the food. They do more than that, especially on the buying. They have a supplier, the type of supplier they choose, that is to make sure that this supplier follow the brand standard, and everything have everything already written down. And the brand standard is actually every single hotel will be following it. And when you buy certain type of products, example, whatever products that, especially on chemical wise, it has to follow the title or the brand standard. So you can't buy anything else. They already have that in place, in line. which is very, very good. And then they also have a specific supplier that you can buy from with, so to make sure that everybody follow the same thing and every hotel follows the same thing. And I also like the Hilton Worldwide University, where they have that training that they had for the team and for the staff. So which is can I mean, you will learn together with all the Hilton around the world, and that's one of the best I can say about that. And I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. In fact, it's something that a lot of people we overlook. We don't know all the minute details that these big corporations and big hotels are actually doing in order to remain sustainable, such as giving back to the community as one thing. And I guess in that sense, it benefits their PR as well, which is another thing. But yeah,
Yes.
so I think we're going to go into one more question to each of you. We have a lot of questions here, but I think we'll stick to two. So, Professor Chan, you did mention about creativity in tourism and adaptability. So, can you share some examples that the industry is practicing currently in Sabah and Sarawak in terms of promoting domestic tourism?
Okay, thank you. When you talk about creativity and adaptability, a lot of community, actually rural tourism community here are quite creative. A case of example in Lower Kinabatangan, when the kitchen are cooking, frying, they use the oil as a burning oil, recycle, right? And another thing is what they do is they will serve local fruits which is seasonal, right? And this is very much what you call using the local products where it benefit the local people. Another thing is when you go for the riverboat cruise, right? Riverboat cruise along the Kinabatangan is the best place to watch wildlife in nature, right? In wild. So these tour operator and the local community are very smart in the case that they have done the study, and they show at least you will be able to see 10 different animals along the riverboat cruise, and they will identify and they will know where is the spot. So that to me is quite creative and innovative approach to ensure the guests that they are able to see this sort of wildlife. Yeah. If any of the guests cannot see these 10 different types of wildlife, the tour operator will give some kind of compensation or reward. So they were very certain. Yeah. In terms of domestic tourism, within Sabah, when we talk about domestic tourism, you will see they tend to concentrate only certain specific area. For example, Kundasang, Mount Kinabalu. There are many places where the local can visit. The main problem is there is a lack of marketing and awareness. Secondly, when we talk about domestic tourism from West Malaysia to Sabah, many of them are not following the tour. They will buy their own packages and come. And when they arrive, I think most of them have problem of these are car rental. There's a very limited of suppliers. So again, fallback is when you want to look target for domestic tourism is very different from international tourism. Domestic tourists are very what you call price conscious, and they tend to travel by themselves. Not so much depend on the travel agent. I guess that's all. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for your answer, Professor Chan. I love how detailed you get into your answers, and it's really beneficial to us as a moderator and to our listeners. So whoever asked this question, I hope this is more than enough as an answer to me. I think it's way more than enough and a really good answer. And now I would like to ask our last question, which is going to Miss Tenku. And this is a little bit of a controversial one, but some people say that hotels are one of the major contributors to environmental change and pollution. What is your view on this, and do you think there's a balance between it, or it's completely one-sided, in your opinion?
All right. Thank you for the questions. First of all, I'm not gonna deny that. Okay. However, because there's a lot of big research, especially in the US, regards about that. And however, I do believe, and since I've been working in a hotel for since 2010, I can say, all the hotels are leading towards that. All the hotel that I work with, I can say the smaller properties, the bigger properties. I've been working in a bigger properties of 472 rooms and up to smaller property to 35 rooms. I can say that all the other properties that I work with, they are trying their best to do to help the community, to help the environment, to save the earth, because there's a lot of benefits for doing it. You know, first the benefit, of course, when they do that, they have less waste, they have less pollution, the overall reduction of operating costs. Okay, as a hotel manager, that's the main thing, the overall reduction of operating costs. So when we actually so that is basically benefits to community. So what I see, both based on my experience for the whole since 2010, I can say that the hotels is into the reduced cost. So they are doing it um, in a sense of their own style, their own brand standard, their own style. Like example, in Robertstown Hotel, we are we don't clean occupied rooms. We actually trying to save as much water as possible. We also do a 9 liter water flow restrictor, so to make sure that we restrict the number of water that being used in the whole room. So because currently in Australia is very expensive, 200,000 increase of electricity and water usage in our company called the Vision Hotels. So that's why our main target is to actually to reduce this and at the same time help the society, also help and also we our main also we need to do right now is also to focus on the indoor air quality control as well, especially on the air quality inside the room for our guests. It has to be safe. And we did a lot of preventive maintenance for that, especially on our aircon, the chemical that being used by the team members, the staff, and that's why even though that I say is one of the I not going to deny regards about the wastage and everything, but the hotel did try their best to try to not not waste, to do any wastage, especially focusing on sustainability. I seen since I started. So yeah, so that's my opinion on that.
That's a very good answer, Ms. Tenku. So what you're saying is that less waste equals less cost. And in that sense, that benefits any company as a whole. It could be a hotel, it could be a small business. The less waste you have, the less waste you put out to the environment equals less pollution and also less money being spent on your end. Very good answer. I like that. So, guys, we have reached the end of our webinar here. I think it went very, very well. I was so happy to hear from both of you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know you guys both have very hectic and busy schedules. Thank you so much for taking the time, taking this hour to help us out and to spread knowledge and bring awareness to tourism sustainability as well as the hotel industry here in Malaysia and in Australia. A big thanks, especially to my lecturer, Mr. David. I don't think I would have ever been able to make this connection with you guys if it was not for him. And thank you for you guys for being here. And if we ever take the intake out on a field trip or something, since COVID is out, we'd like to come to Australia or perhaps Sabah. So we'll be looking forward to see you there if we do come.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come.
Definitely. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Hope you guys have a nice day. Thanks again for
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
You leave us a comment, guys. Thank you. That's recording. Thanks, guys.